All right, so chapter 7, we get into distributions. These are less commonly used than amounts, but still something that's important for us to know about and know when to use. So these are when you have something that's ordered, like ages or years or whatever, and you don't want to show like every single age. You want to group them together in bins or whatnot. And so what we're looking for here is, so it's basically like a grouped, binned up together box plot, kind of, and the point usually for these is to look at the shape of the distribution, rather than being concerned with the actual number that is in each one. So histograms is our big traditional one that we've been using for years and years and years. A lot of times these are used for basically things like years where there's natural groupings. You could be grouping them by decade, by groups of like 5, by 10. You could group them even in the 18-year bucket for the generations, depending on what your needs are for your data. How do we do this in Tableau? It's a little more interesting than with the column stuff or bar charts. Okay, so this data set doesn't have anything that's really good for it, so I ended up just using years. I changed years from being an ABC string to being being numeric. And what I ended up having to do is grab the years from the table section and move it down here into the measure section. And then both of those get added in. So the columns, yeah, so it again, it's a little weird. Actually, this should probably be, there we go, count. There you go, count of years. So this is basically the number of ratings that we had in each year in Glassdoor. So the bins one here is where we can actually define what the groups are. I have actually not had much luck in this, and I think it's because this data is not well set up for it at all, because normally you'd want to have a large number of whatever it is, age or years or whatnot. The fact that we only have a few makes binning things really awkward, and so I've actually had like anytime I've tried to edit this, it kind of freaks out. And so I just have this here. So this chart by itself is actually like terrible the way that it's set up. So look at the textbook for better examples of this. Not all data is going to lend itself to histograms. So notably, this is the one, and you'll see that even for a lot of data, this won't even light up. It won't even let you do it unless your data meets the parameters for it to be able to calculate this stuff. So years as the bin, years as the count, and then whatever your thing is that it's doing goes in there. And that's histograms. Let me switch back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so make sure that the bins, if you're doing something like this, wouldn't let you do it any other way, but the bins have to be the same width. Yeah, and they have to go in order, but if you're using a computer program, it won't let you do anything else other than those. All right, so density plots. So this one, instead of using real numbers like the histograms, use an estimated curve based on the kernel, which is tells you the shape, whether it's smooth or jagged in the bandwidth, which is basically similar to the bins. So that's going to give you like the width, so to speak, and actually there should be like that. This is really ideal for large data sets, not for small ones, because it needs to be able to estimate those curves, and it will only get more accurate with larger data. It'll get smoother with larger data too. And the important thing to remember here is to make sure that all of your data, your estimated data, is valid. So you can't have negative age, for example. So make sure that's not doing weird things on the ends of it. Otherwise, it's good. I can't figure out how to do density plots in Tableau, interestingly enough. It's not in their list of common plots or specialized plots to do. But you can definitely do them in other programs, and you should be able to read those in a database class and know what they're used for. We can do multiple things in here. So this is where you have a grouping variable, so splitting it by gender, splitting it by whether they're current or former employees, whatnot. In the notes section here, I dropped a link to the actual, like, the help thing for Tableau for doing this, do population pyramid. These, aren't the easiest to read. The stacked bar type of histograms are really terrible. So this is your option here. It's better to do density curves that are stacked instead, and you can see, like, on the right side how much nicer it is when you have that transparent color, so you can really see the overlaps and follow your particular line well. So that's the way to handle that. Again, the use case for these is a little bit more rare than like amounts and proportions and things like that, but they do come up, and so you should be able to, depending on your platform, you should be able to both read and create these. Okay,